What's going on, everybody? This is Tulu. In today's video, I wanted to talk about Cold War and some research I've done and some things that I've found, and the fact that Cold War will be dead within the next 6 to 8 months. But before I get into that and everything I've found, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I do appreciate everybody getting me to 500 subscribers. And I do, before I start, want to apologize about the upload earlier. It was mainly me just talking out of the side of my mouth and not really saying anything informative. That's not my goal with this. I want to be as informational as possible. So with that being said, let's get right into the video. So the brief financial success with Cold War, I think, can be attributed to the hype around Cold War. As many of you know, there was an alpha and a beta that initially went out, and there was a lot of people who played Modern Warfare that really weren't a fan of the game. And so they were waiting for Cold War, and that's why you may see, or the developers like Activision boasted the initial success of Cold War as far as selling copies went and the amount of money that they made. And the reason I decided to make this video today is because I saw a lot of people, or as far as people that I follow who post Call of Duty content, I've seen a lot less Cold War content, it feels like. The only content I feel like I see on Cold War nowadays is people reverse boosting. And I just felt like the overall hype and popularity of the game was down, even with a impending update. So I decided to do some research. And here's what I initially found. Now, the most played PS4 games in December of 2020, when I looked that up, check this out. Cyberpunk was one, Assassin's Creed, The Last of Us, Ghost, Tsushima, I think that's what it's called. You got Marvel, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, FIFA 21 Dreams. And so I'm sitting here, and being that Cold War recently released, I'm still not seeing it. All right, Dreams, Bugsnax, Warzone, Resident Evil, Fall Guys, and then Cold War is like 20 or 30th on this list. And so that kind of made me scratch my head, and I said, well, what makes a video game popular, and what the metrics that determine a video game's success, along with trends of graphs that you could see, is the number of downloads, active users, retention rate, number of minutes played, the engagement, the average revenue the game makes from per user, and then per paying user, and how many friends, word of mouth, how popular is the game. I guess that's just the hype, how many people share this game and tell other people about it, and the people that are connecting to it online. And so when I looked at the metrics, and the metrics I compared Cold War with were a couple older CODs. So Black Ops 4, Modern Warfare Warzone, like I said, Cold War. And here's what I found. So for the first week of active players for Black Ops 4, it went from 200 to 4.65 million active players. And then the second week, it went from 4.65 to 8.4 million. Modern Warfare went from 200 to 4.6 million, which is slightly better than Black Ops 4, but in the second week, it didn't do quite as good. It only went from 4.67 to 6.9 million. And for Black Ops 4, it still has a total of 32.1 million players, 240,000 new players from October 2020 to November 2020, and 180,000 returning players. So Black Ops 4 is still super popular. As far as Modern Warfare is concerned, it's not growing. It only had 60,000 new players from October of 2020 to November of 2020, and it's newer than Black Ops 4, which is concerning. But it does have 400,000 returning players. So there's a lot of people who are hopping back on the game and seeing what it's about. As far as Cold War went, so for the first week, it sold between 400 to 4. It went from 400 to 4.21 million active players. It didn't sell. It went from 400 to 4.21 million active players. And then in the second week, it didn't give me the data on GameStat, but from, I think, November 18th to November 19th, it went from 4.21 to 4.45 million. And based off of, I did the calculations and trends. There off of that, those trends, it would be estimated, and this data is not public yet, even though we're past this time. I estimate that there was 5.21 to 5.35 million active players after the second week, which is less than Black Ops 4 at 8.4 million and less than Modern Warfare at 6.9 million. And then Warzone is not even close. It went from 83.9K to 6.39 million active players in the first week. And then it had 11.87 million active players after the second week. So it's not even in the ballpark. And that's partially because it was a battle royale and it was the first Call of Duty battle royale. So I don't even think I should have included it, but I just thought I'd mention that. And so, like I said, when we're analyzing this further, you can measure if a game's growing based off of the amount of new players it has and the returning players. Now, this data is not available with Cold War, but it is with Modern Warfare. And I told you, Black Ops 4 had 240,000 from October 2020 to November 2020, and Modern Warfare only had 60,000. And as far as the first week of sales or the second week of sales went, Modern Warfare and Cold War were close, 4.67 to 6.9 million, and then 4.21 to 5.35, which is really not that good in the second week of sales. And so that's worrisome with all the hype around the game. Like I was saying earlier, you would expect that Cold War would be doing better. It's Activision, it's Raven, it's Beanox, Treyarch, all these like respected developers, and the publisher Activision, they're respected, and so people are going to buy the game just because they're the people that developed it. So that's a little bit worrisome. And when I was looking at the trends for Modern Warfare, Black Ops 4 actually, believe it or not, is still growing. Warzone is booming right now. It had 1.5 million new players from October 2020 to November 2020. But Modern Warfare, after 6 to 8 months, kind of bottomed out. It didn't grow. There wasn't that many new players it was getting every couple of months. And being that Cold War is doing worse, the same thing can be expected. And Modern Warfare had so many updates and everything else. Like Cold War is mimicking the updates that Modern Warfare had, and the battle pass and everything else. There's a lot of similarities between the multiplayer of Cold War and Modern Warfare. And so it's expected, based off of the current trends, that Cold War is going to die. So the game came out in November, December, January, February, March, April. By April or May of next year, Cold War will be dead. And there's nothing that's going to change that. And for many people that are wondering why Cold War seems super choppy is, one, I think this Call of Duty is more so transitioning to the next console, the PS5, and it's smoother on the PS5, so I think that's partially the reason why it seems choppy on the PS4. And also, this pandemic, I read an article that said that people who were still developing this game, Raven in particular, had their employees working remotely because of the pandemic, and so the finishing touches of the game couldn't be done till after the fact, which hurt the game in the long run. And then if you want to look further as far as the game goes, skill-based matchmaking really killed the game because it didn't allow these players who were better to showcase their talent or skill. And as far as Modern Warfare goes with profitability, the only reason it was so profitable and sold as many units as it did was because Warzone was released and the extreme customization with Modern Warfare, and that's why so many people wanted to be a part of that game. And as far as I see with big content creators right now, a lot of them and so there's no credibility with their uploads. So like I said, a lot of big content creators have resorted to reverse boosting, and even these players that are playing it are not entirely enjoying the game, because if you're reverse boosting, then you're playing against people that are still learning the L2 and L1 button. They're still learning how to ADS and shoot, so it's not fun for them. They're playing against statues. I've watched these individuals who are doing this, what they're playing against, and this really takes away from small content creators who are actually really good players, but they can't make a name for themselves because if they have a good upload, then people are just going to assume that they're reverse boosting. And then I found something else, and this is what I heard. Apparently, Activision has taken it upon themselves to make the game connection worse for individuals who are better. So if you're the best one in the lobby, for example, your connection is going to be worse than the people you're playing against. That way it gives those people an advantage, which is taking skill-based matchmaking to the next level. I mean, it's ruining the game for good players. And like I said earlier, it seems that this game is completely and only being marketed to new players. So, to end on, the infrastructure of the community is the people who have been playing Call of Duty games for the past 10 years. And if you don't have those players, and if they're not enjoying it and you're not keeping their attention, it's going to collapse. And that can be seen with, if you look at the reviews. So if I go over here to Black Ops 4, 8.5 out of 10 stars on IGN, 83% on Metacritic, and 9 out of 10 on Push Square. If you went to Modern Warfare, 8 out of 10 on IGN, similar to Black Ops 4, 80% on Metacritic, 4.5 out of 5 stars on PC Mag. But then if you go to Cold War, it's a little worse. It's 3 out of 5 on Eurogamer, 6 out of 10 on IGN, and 69% on PC Gamer. So the reviews speak for themselves. And then people who enjoyed the game, Black Ops 4 was 3.1 stars out of 5 based off of Google reviews, 3.2 stars out of 5 for Modern Warfare, and then 2.2 out of 5 stars for Cold War. And I could quickly look at Warzone reviews and see what that is, because I assume that's going to be higher than all of those. So 82% on PC Gamer, 7 out of 10 on IGN, 4.5 out of 5 stars on PC Mag, and 3.7 out of 5 stars on Warzone. So definitely more popular with Warzone, and that could be seen, with the numbers I presented earlier. So there's going to have to be big changes that are made to the game in order for it to keep its popularity. If it continues on this trend, and this could be a message to Activision, based off of your current trends, this game, no matter what you do, will die. And I see they're trying to implement all these little things to keep people interested and redoing the map raid from Black Ops 2, which is a good business move, but I think the game's too far gone as far as the cinematics and everything goes. So it's not looking good for Cold War. But with that being said, like I said, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.